A very good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to your Civics second year class. Yesterday, we started with your 6th chapter and I have explained you 73rd Amendment Act, 74th Amendment Act and Telangana Panchayat Raj Act 2018. Then we also discussed few very short answers and like we have discussed Gram Sabha, Gram Panchayat, Sarpanch, Mayor. Okay, then we also discussed about Balwant Rai Mehta Committee. We'll continue with very short answers in this chapter. The next one is State Election Commission. Okay, State Election Commission. So the Indian Constitution has provided for the Election Commission to conduct election in fair and impartial manner. That we have discussed. We have discussed a complete chapter that is election system in India. In that we have discussed about election commission. That was Central Election Commission. Central Election Commission. Now here we will discuss about State Election Commission. So this State Election Commission is responsible for conducting elections for the rural local government and urban local government. Okay, that is the elections for your municipalities, municipal corporations, Nagar Panchayat, that is your urban local government. Then elections for your Panchayat, Mandal Parishad, Zilla Parishad, that is your local government, rural local government. Okay. So, who is responsible to conduct the election? It is State Election Commission. And the governor of the state will appoint election commissioner. Okay. The election commissioner is appointed by the governor of the state. 2 points. Okay, for 2 marks. Constitution has provided for election commission at the state level. Okay, so this election commission will conduct election for rural local government and urban local government. And the election commissioner is appointed by the governor of the state. Okay, next is your State Finance Commission. Again, to review the financial position of the local governing bodies, be it panchayat or municipalities, the Constitution has provided for Finance Commission. This Finance Commission will review the financial status or financial position of governing bodies, local governing bodies, panchayats in case of rural, municipalities in case of urban, and it forwards necessary recommendations to the cabinet, that is the chief minister and his minister. Okay. The Finance Commission, State Finance Commission, it consists of 4 members. They are appointed by the governor. Okay, the State Finance Commission is also appointed by the governor of the state. So the main function of this commission is to review the financial position of the governing bodies, local governing bodies, rural governing bodies and urban governing bodies. Simple questions, ma, very simple questions. Just understand and remember. You need to understand and remember. That's it. Very easy. Now, coming to your next question, a question for 5 marks. This can be asked, we can expect, because 73rd Amendment Act was asked in your previous paper. 73rd, 74th and Telangana Panchayat Raj Act, all 3 answers are similar. This one is a different answer, that is composition and powers of Zilla Parishad in Telangana. Composition and powers of Zilla Parishad in Telangana. So every district except Hyderabad, okay, except Hyderabad, every district has got Zilla Parishad. Okay, in Telangana we have 33 districts except Hyderabad. Every district has its Zilla Parishad. So let us see the composition of Zilla Parishad. We have Zilla Parishad Territorial Constituency Member, ZPTC. Okay, Zilla Parishad Territorial Constituency Member, ZPTC member. Now, these members are directly elected by the people. Okay, Zilla Parishad members are directly elected by the people of that particular constituency. Along with the elected members, it has ex officio member and co-opt members. Okay, Zilla Parishad, it will have, that is ZPTC will have elected members who are directly elected by the people and ex officio members along with the co-op members. Then you have Zilla Parishad chairman. Now, Zilla Parishad, it is headed by Zilla Parishad chairman. Okay, Zilla Parishad, it is headed by Zilla Parishad chairman, who is elected by the members of Zilla Parishad. Okay, the members of Zilla Parishad, the elected members of Zilla Parishad, they will elect their chairman. Then they will have Chief Executive Officer, CEO. They'll have Chief Executive Officer who is appointed by the state government. Okay, this CEO, he is the representative of the government and he is responsible for implementation of all the laws made by Zilla Parishads. Okay, whatever resolutions are passed in the meetings of Zilla Parishad, it is the responsibility of CEO, Chief Executive Officer, to implement those resolutions. Okay, so if you see the composition, you have Zilla Parishad Territorial Constituency Member, you have Zilla Parishad Chairman and Chief Executive Officer. I hope I am clear till here. Let us move to the next. Powers and functions of Zilla Parishad. What are the powers? The second part of your question. Okay, powers and functions of Zilla Parishad. So, it will examine and approve the budgets of Mandal Parishad in the district. So, Zilla Parishad, it will approve the budgets of Mandal Praja Parishad in the districts. It distributes the funds allotted to the district by the central and the state government among the Mandal Praja Parishad and Mandals in the district. See, the smallest unit is village. Then villages together will form Mandal and Mandals together will form Zilla or district, and these districts together will form a state. Okay, so here the Zilla Parishad, it will approve the budget of the Mandal and it will distribute the funds allotted by this government, central government and the state government, to all the Mandal Parishads and Mandal in that districts for that particular district. Okay, it supervises the activities of Mandal Praja Parishad and Gram Panchayat. It establish and maintain or expand secondary, vocational and industrial schools. It supervises adult education activities and it is the responsibility of Zilla Parishad to maintain parks, playgrounds and stadiums in their district. So these are the functions of Zilla Parishad. Next, coming to your next chapter, contemporary issues in Indian politics. So what are the issues faced by the Indian political system? Okay, so the major issues are corruption, terrorism, okay, unemployment. These are some of the major issues faced by the government. So in this chapter, we will study about various issues and what are the steps taken by the government to resolve those issues. The important questions from this chapter are anti-corruption laws, types of terrorism. Okay, see, the weightage for this chapter is 9 marks. You will get 1 SAQ and 2 VSAQs. Okay, so anti-corruption laws and types of terrorism, these two are the very important questions. Then under very short answers, you have forms of corruption, whistleblowers. This whistleblowers is a repeated question. Characteristics of terrorism, merits and demerits of coalition politics. What is coalition politics? What are its merits and demerits? Okay. So, what are the major issues we are facing, the Indian politics is facing? First is corruption. Then second is, terrorism. Third is your displacement. What is displacement? Okay, then you have coalition politics. Coalition politics. So these are the major issues of Indian politics, contemporary issues of Indian politics. So we will discuss important topics like under corruption, we will discuss the forms of corruption and what are the anti-corruption laws made by the government of India. Then what is terrorism? What are its types and what government is doing to fight with terrorism? So under corruptions only, you will also study about whistleblowers. Okay, then displacement, you don't have any question on displacement. The people are being, millions of people are being displaced in the name of development. They have to leave their native place and move to a new place. That is called as displacement. In that process, many people, they lose their life. They are separated from their families. Then coalition, what is coalition politics? Coalition politics is the new strategy adapted by the political parties when they don't get into power. To come into the power, they join political parties. So, having ideological differences, but still they join political parties to come into the power. So let us discuss the various anti-corruption laws in India. A most important question. Most important question for 5 marks. Okay. So Indian government. So first, what is corruption? Before going into this, what is corruption? You should know. The corruption means use of public office for private gains. The World Bank has defined corruption as use of public office for private gains, or you can also say profits. Okay, we are using our position for personal gains or profits. Personal gains or profits. So what is corruption? According to World Bank, corruption means use of public office for private gains or profit. I hope I am clear with the definition of corruption. So, let us see what are the measures taken by the government of India to curb or to check corruption, Okay. So first is Prevention of Corruption Act 1988. Prevention of Corruption Act 1988. In 1988, to prevent corruption, the government has passed this act. This act made to reduce corruption in government servants who are more corrupt. It is the government employees who are more corrupt. So, to reduce corruption in government employees, this act was passed. Okay. So, this will prevent the government employees. This act will prevent the government employees from accepting illegal money or gifts. Okay. So, according to this act, whoever takes the bribe means rishwat, whoever takes the bribe, not only that person, the person who is giving bribe and the intermediaries, okay, the agents, okay, who are arranging this meetings between the government employee and the person who is giving the bribe. All the three are liable for punishment. All the three are liable for punishment. The person who is taking bribe, the person who is giving bribe, and the intermediaries. And the mediators or agents also, you can say, all of them, okay, who are involved in this process are liable for punishment. So what is Prevention of Corruption Act 1988? It says that the person who is giving bribe, the person who is taking bribe, and the person who is acting as a mediator or intermediary or an agent in this process are liable for punishment. Okay, I hope the first point is very clear to all of you. Then the next is IPC, Indian Penal Code. Okay, so Indian Penal Code provides for criminal punishment for government employees who are involved in corrupt practices. So, a government employee, if is involved in corrupt practices, if it is proved, then he will have to face criminal punishment. Criminal case will be booked against them under IPC, Indian Penal Code. Okay, the next is the Prevention of Money Laundering Act 2002. In 2002, this act was passed, that is preventing money laundering. What is money laundering? Money laundering is nothing but transferring black money into white money. Transferring black money into white money. So this act will prevent the transfer of black money into white money. Okay, that is Prevention of Money Laundering Act, which was passed in 2002. So what are the 3 points we have discussed? Just the side headings. Prevention of Corruption Act 1988. Then we have IPC, Indian Penal Code. So under Prevention of Corruption Act 1988, the persons who are involved in the process of corruption, that is the person who is taking bribe, the person who is giving bribe, and the person who is arranging this, all are liable for punishment. Then Indian Penal Code. If a government employee gets involved in corrupt practices, then a criminal punishment is given to him. Okay, a criminal case will be booked against him under IPC, Indian Penal Code. Then Prevention of Money Laundering Act 2002. This prevents the transfer of black money into white money. The next is RTI, Right to Information Act 2005. This act was passed in 2005. So this act enables people to get information from the government, and the same information can be produced as evidence as against corrupt officers. Okay, under RTI, Right to Information Act. Okay, so under this act, the citizens, they can get the information from the government departments, okay, against any officer or about any officer or about anything in general, anything. You can get the information about anything from the government departments and from private organizations also. And you can use that information as evidence against the corrupt officers. Okay. The next is Central Vigilance Commission. Now, the Central Vigilance Commission was formed in 1964. So, the Central Vigilance Commission, it has prepared a guide, instruction manual, you can say. It has prepared the guide explaining do's and don'ts, what government officials should do and what they should not do, do's and don'ts in the matter of corruption. Okay, the Vigilance Commission, it has prepared a guideline explaining what the government officials should do and they should not do. If they are doing something which they are not supposed to do, then it is corruption. Okay, the next is whistleblowers. Who are the whistleblowers? Whistleblowers are the people who provide information about corrupt officers. Okay, they expose the corrupt officers. They expose the corrupt officers. So government should provide protection to the whistleblowers. Okay, it is the government who should provide protection to these whistleblowers. They are the social activists. For the people, they expose the corrupt officers. Then you have Lokpal and Lok Ayukt Act, which was passed in 2013. Okay, Lokpal and Lok Ayukt are the bodies established. Okay, so Lokpal is for union government and Lok Ayukt is for state. Okay, they are the independent bodies which will look into the cases of corruption against government employees and the ministers. If a central government employee or a central government minister is involved in corruption, okay, so that inquiry is done by the Lokpal. Okay, if the state government employee or a state government minister is involved in corrupt practices, that inquiry is done by Lok Ayukt. Lokpal and Lok Ayukt. Okay, these were the two independent bodies constituted to look into the cases of corruption. Okay. Am I clear with this? Anti-corruption laws. Then let us move to the next one. Various types of terrorism in India. So before going into detail, first we should know what is terrorism. terrorism is an organized and planned act of violence. It is organized and planned act of violence targeting innocent people. So here, the innocent people are targeted. Okay, they don't have any problem with the people. It is these people will have problem with the government, but they target innocent people. So we can term it as it is an unofficial war with the government. It is an unofficial war with the government. So what is terrorism? It is an organized and planned act of violence to target innocent people. Mostly the innocent people are the target of this terrorist. Okay. And actually, they don't have any problem with the people. It is, they have problem with the government. So, it is an unofficial war with the government. So, what are the various types of terrorism? So, we can classify terrorism into 5 types. We can classify terrorism into 5 types. The first one is ethno-nationalist terrorism. Ethno-nationalist terrorism. Here, they will create violence demanding for the separate state or to form a separate nation. Here, they will demand the government to create a separate state, or they want to form into a separate nation. So they are targeting innocent people. They will create violence. Okay. For example, we have Khalistan movement. Okay. Recently, again, this was in news, this Khalistan movement, where the people of Sikh community in Punjab wanted to form a separate state for them, separate nation for them, that is Khalistan. Okay, the demand is they want to get separate and form a separate state or nation, you can say. So that is ethno-nationalist terrorism. So they create violence, they kill innocent people and pressurize the government. Next is religious terrorism. What is religious terrorism? Religious terrorism is creating violence in the name of religion, making religion as the base. Okay, they'll make the religion as their base and they create violence. Okay, it is also called as jihadi terrorism. Religious terrorism is also called as jihadi terrorism, where the base of creating violence is religion. Okay, they create violence in the name of religion. Okay, what is ethno-nationalist terrorism? Here, they create violence demanding a separate nation for them. And in religious terrorism, they create violence making religion as a base. Okay, and that is also called as jihadi terrorism. I hope I'm clear with the first 2 points. The next is ideology-oriented terrorism. Ideology-oriented terrorism. This is also known as left-wing extremism. It is also known as left-wing extremism. So what happens here? Okay, here the people, they feel that they are being exploited. Okay, they are being exploited. So they want economic equality. They demand for economic equality and they aim for revolutionary changes through violence and terror. So this left-wing extremists, they don't target the innocent citizens. Their targets are politicians and government employees. Mostly they target politicians and government employees. Example I can give you of Naxalites. Okay. So 3 are over. Let us move to the next. Next is state-sponsored terrorism, or we can also call it cross-border terrorism. Okay. So what happens in this state-sponsored terrorism? Here, the terrorist groups, they create violence in the neighboring countries. They create violence in the neighboring countries, and it is believed that the government of that particular state is sponsoring them, helping them. Okay, that is why we call it as state-sponsored terrorism. And they are creating violence in the neighboring countries. We can also call it as cross-border terrorism. So, example, Pakistan supporting terrorist groups in India to create violence in India. It is believed that Pakistan, it supports terrorist groups to create violence in India. So that is state-sponsored terrorism or cross-border terrorism. The next is narco-terrorism and sandalwood terrorism. So this narco-terrorism is creating, terror, okay, by smuggling drugs and sandalwood. Okay, they smuggle drugs and sandalwood. Naturally, if general people, if they come to know that drugs are being smuggled or sandalwood is being smuggled, so sandalwood smugglers, their targets are forest officers. And for this, narco-terrorism, the youth, the youngsters are their targets. They target youth. Okay, they smuggle drugs, they sell drugs to the innocent youngsters. So here, when this news comes out, naturally the parents, they will get, horrified by it. So that is, again, it is, what is terror? It is just creating fear. Terrorizing is nothing but creating fear. So, narco-terrorism and sandalwood terrorism. And we have other forms of terrorism like environmental terrorism. Okay, environmental terrorism. So, what does it mean? In this, the deliberate use of viruses in the nature to harm people. So, we all have faced this recently. COVID. A virus was released in the atmosphere. The whole world suffered with it. Okay. Everybody was in, fear. So that is environmental terrorism, where the viruses are released in the nature to harm people. Deliberately, wantedly. It is deliberate use of virus in the nature to harm people. The next is cyber terrorism. Cyber terrorism. What is cyber terrorism? Using, technology, internet. By using technology or internet, they are spreading misinformation. Okay, they are spreading misinformation, or they are harassing the women. They are harassing the women. So that is cyber terrorism. If you see, many times you see that, on your WhatsApp, you will have many videos, okay, getting viral, which is of, misinformation, misguiding the people, which misguides the people, and it will create fear among the people. Like, for example, a few months ago, there was a video circulated saying that the small children are being kidnapped. Okay, women are being kidnapped. Some videos are circulated like that. That will create, fear among the people. That is called as cyber terrorism. Here they use internet. They use internet. And the next one is suicide terrorism. Okay, suicide terrorism, where the suicide bombers are employed. Okay, if, like Rajiv Gandhi, he was assassinated by a suicide bomber. Okay, that is, so not only that person and the targeted person, but many innocent people were killed. Okay, that is also a kind of terrorism. We'll just have a quick look, okay, on types of terrorism. What are the difference? Just the side headings. If you are able to understand the side headings, you can easily write the answer in your own words. So the main intention is you should understand the side heading. What does it mean? Okay. The first one is ethno-nationalist terrorism. So here the states, they create violence demanding a separate nation for themselves. Demanding a separate nation for themselves. So like we have Khalistan movement, where the people of Sikh community in Punjab, they demanded separate state or nation for themselves called Khalistan. Then we have religious terrorism, where they create violence in the name of religion. They create violence, making religion as the basis. Example, we have jihadi terrorism. Then we have ideology-oriented terrorism. Here, the people who create terrorism, for example, Naxalites, they feel that their rights have been taken from them. The government is doing injustice with them. Okay, so they kidnap the government officials. Their targets are political leaders and government officials. Next is state-sponsored terrorism. Here it is also called as cross-border terrorism. So here it is believed that one country will help or support the terrorist groups to create violence in neighboring countries. To create violence in neighboring countries. Cross-border terrorism. The next is narco-terrorism. Narco, something related to drugs. Okay. So, smuggling of drugs, smuggling of sandalwood. This also creates a kind of fear. Sandalwood terrorism means the forest officers will always be in fear of these smugglers. Okay. Then we have other forms of terrorism like environmental terrorism, where the viruses are released into the nature to harm people. Cyber terrorism, with the use of internet, they spread misinformation. Sometimes they harass women. Suicide terrorism, they employ suicide bombers. Okay. I hope I'm clear with this. Now let us discuss corruption. What is corruption and what are its forms? What are the different forms of corruption? So, at the beginning itself, I told you, it is one of the major issues faced by our political system. From grassroots level to top level, everywhere you can see there is corruption. Okay. So, corruption charges are levied against matters relating to political decisions, getting permissions, license, starting industrial units, for everything. if you want to get a license, you have to give bribe. If you want to get a permission for something, you have to give the bribe. So corruption is everywhere, from grassroots level to the top level. And as I told you before, the World Bank, it defines corruption as using public office for private profit. Using public office for private profit or gain, you can say. So what are the different forms of corruption? The first one is bribery, bribe, rishwat. Bribery means giving or offering bribe. What is bribery? Bribery means offering bribe. Okay. It is giving an item of value to influence the action of an official. So what do we do to get our work done? We give an expensive gift to the officer to influence him and get our work done. Okay. It may be money, goods or property or privileges or emoluments. Okay, benefits. Okay. So to get the work done, we are giving bribe. We are offering bribe. It can be anything. It can be anything from money to your privilege, benefits. So with this, what are we doing? We are influencing the official, okay, to do our work. Or misuse his power. That is bribery. The first form of corruption is bribery. Okay, the next one is extortion. Now, what is extortion? Extortion is obtaining something through force or threat. Through force or threat. डरा धमका के किसी से कुछ हासिल करना या कुछ काम करवाना. The practice of obtaining something, especially the money, okay, through force or threat. If you don't give me the money, I'll kill you, I'll kill your family member. Like that, you will make, like these people will make extortion calls. Okay. Extortion means obtaining something, especially mostly it is money, through threat. Okay, threat matlab darana. Next is embezzlement. Now, what is embezzlement? Embezzlement is a type of financial fraud. Okay, it is theft or misappropriation of funds by a person who has got this responsibility. Okay, so that is called as embezzlement. Embezzlement is nothing but misappropriation of funds. Okay. Like presenting false receipts and all, you will misappropriate the funds. That is called as embezzlement. Next is favoritism. Favoritism means practice of giving unfair preference to one person or group at the expense of another. So here what is you are doing? You are giving preferences. He does not have the capacity. Even then, you are favoring him. You are supporting him. You are giving preference to him. So unfairness and favoring unfairly, especially by someone in authority. Okay. The XYZ person, he does not have the capabilities, but he has got the preference. Okay, that because he is the favorite of XYZ. He is in the good books of XYZ. That is called as favoritism. Okay, so the actually who is capable, he's been injustice is done to that person. Okay, for example, A, B, C, there are three people. A, B, C. A is the boss. B and C are his subordinates. So C is A's favorite, but he does not do his work properly. Only because he is A's favorite, he gets all the preferences or benefits. B, he is hardworking, he is sincere, he is honest, he is good at his work. Even then, he is never appreciated or no preferences given to him. So that is called as favoritism. That is called as favoritism. Next is nepotism. This was in news. Nepotism means it is practiced among those with power or influence, favoring relatives and friends, especially by giving jobs. Only the XYZ person belongs to that family, or he is friend or relative to that person, influential person. Then we call it as nepotism. He does not have the capabilities. Only because he is a friend or relative of an influential family or person, he is getting that job. That is called as nepotism, where the power or influence is considered. Okay. Am I clear with this? 5 points. Let us move to the next. That is undue influence. Okay. Undue influence is taking advantage of your position over the other. Taking advantage of your position over another person. Like it means something for something. For example, A and B, they are working in a department. A has some work. He went to B. So B is not taking money or anything from him. B is saying that if you do my work, I'll do your work. That is something for something. Exchange of goods and services, which one transfer is contingent upon the other. We can also term it as favor for a favor. It is favor for a favor or give and take action. What is undue influence? It is give and take action. Favor for a favor. मैं आपका एक काम करूंगा तो आप मेरा ये काम करिए. That is undue influence, taking advantage of the position. Okay, so these are the 6 different forms of corruption. So it has become a major threat to our value system. Okay, so this corruption, it leads to loss of trust on the system. It will lead to rise in extremism in the society. Okay, people will have, dissatisfaction, and honest people will not have, satisfaction. They always feel that an injustice has been done with them. So government is taking various steps to curb, to control corruption. So quickly, I'll show you the side headings. So first is bribery, extortion. Okay, bribery, extortion. Then you have embezzlement. Side headings, understand the side headings, mind. Bribe is giving money or gifts, any valuable item to get your work done. Extortion is demanding money by threat. Embezzlement, misappropriation of funds. Okay, that is presenting false receipts. Okay, then you have favoritism, favoring, giving undue influence. Okay, then nepotism. All these are the different forms of terrorism. Now let us see what are the different forms of terrorism. Same 5 points: bribery, favoritism, nepotism, communalizer, undue influence. What do you mean by communalizer? Here you are giving preference to your own community people. Okay. You are giving preference to the own community people. So what is corruption? It means using public office for private gains or private profits or private use. Next, you have whistleblowers. This already we have discussed. Who are the whistleblowers? They are the activists who give information about corruption in government offices and they alert the people. They alert the people against such corrupt officials. That's why they are called as whistleblowers. They are alerting the people against the corrupt officials. So they need protection against such corrupt officials. So for this, if you want to disclose or expose a corrupt official, for that you can do it through public interest disclosure resolution. So the government of India has passed this resolution, public interest disclosure resolution, PIDR. Okay, under this you can expose the government officials who are involved in corrupt practices, and you will get protection from the government. You will get protection from the government. Now, the next is coalition politics. What do you mean by coalition politics? See, when no party gets the majority in the legislature, when no party gets the majority in the legislature, then the political parties, they come together to form the government. Okay, such type of government is called as coalition government. In Hindi we say Gathbandhan Sarkar. Okay, that is coalition government. So everything has got merit and demerit. So coming to the merits, coalition politics reduces the differences between the central and the state governments. Okay, central and state governments will not have many disputes, and it could bring alternative to the Congress party. So here what happened? Basically, it was Congress party which was ruling in India for long time. So to reduce or to bring an alteration for the Congress, all the political parties, they formed a party called Janata Party. Okay, that is coalition politics. The next, what are the disadvantages? It will lead to instability, and it also leads to political bargain, or we can call it as politics of bargain. Why other parties are supporting? To come into power. They know they cannot come into power by their own. So they'll join the party and they will bargain. Okay, so we also call it, we can also say that it leads to politics of bargain. Okay. Next is characteristics of terrorism. Okay, what are the characteristics of terrorism? Terrorism is an organized and planned act of violence. It is pre-planned, it is organized. Okay, and they aim innocent people, police officers, and government employees. The target of the terrorists mostly are government employees, police officers, and innocent people. So terrorism is an unofficial war with the government. It is an unofficial war with the government, and it is always unlawful and anti-democratic. It is against the democracy and it is unlawful. It is not acceptable. Terrorism is always unlawful. Okay, with this we have completed your chapter. Okay, so in fact, only one chapter, that is smart governance. Your 10th chapter is left now. We have completed all the chapters. In next class, we will discuss your 10th chapter. And after that, we will discuss only the very short answers, the most important very short answers, so that you can at least get 30 marks attempting those very short answers. Okay. So I conclude.